up ahead. Affirmative 612.
It's the last episode of the Wealthy Pilots podcast here for 2025. And Scott, my friend, how you doing, brother? We are at the end of the year, man.
Living the dream, dude. Can't believe it's here already.
I know, right? Super fast. I imagine you got to be like crazy anyway with that whole herd you got going on over there, getting everything ready for Christmas and travel and holidays and, you know, presents and all sorts of stuff, right?
You know, I've been spoiled for many years where I've only ever had to shop for one. And so that's been lucky for me. But yeah, I mean, Andrea with the shopping has been, you know, slammed. I actually checked in on her yesterday and down in the basement. She was rapping. And there's not that many things that give me fear and anxiety in life. But I was down there. I felt like I was in the pits of hell. I had to get out of there ASAP.
Well, so basically she's a saint, right? So what we're hearing is she's a saint. You got her down there slaving away in the basement.
The blessed Saint Andrea. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
She's amazing.
Kudos to her. Kudos to the moms, right? They make the world go round.
Man,
it was funny.
The moms make the magic happen.
Dude, they do. They do. My wife just said that the other day. She was like, you know, our kid's way grown. And she's like, it's just, you know, it's just not the same. And then the kid was like, moms make it happen. It was like, and she just melted when she heard that.
Well, right? I mean, and I was just telling Andrew that too. I mean, I was like, man, my heart goes out for so many like single dads out there that put that hat on.
Hey, they bust their hump too. So
yeah. And I mean, and same for the moms too in different ways. But you know, I was like, man, it's just such a burden that she joyfully bears. You know, I know we're a little off topic here, but
it's all good.
It just had me thinking about, you know, a lot of the guys out there that are, I mean, I know tons of guys, I mean, pilots, military guys, whatever, that, you know, are single and, you know, they do all that stuff. They do it well. And it's like, man, it just takes, you know, a lot of commitment and such. So kudos to all them too, because it's tough for sure. So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna throw some curveballs at you here. We're gonna do some year-end closeout conversation, just some things to think about. We're gonna do we'll do a podcast at the first of the year here in about 2 weeks on some things to think about for 26. We'll kind of lay out some some like a checklist, right? Pilots that love their checklist. So we'll talk about some things just to close this year out. But I'm gonna start with just like talk about some wins, right? When you're thinking about your clients or people that have come in this year, you know, what's some of the things they've been happy about? What's some of those things that have been good for them? You know, we talked about the cash balance plans last month. You know, maybe you paid off the debt, maybe you've whatever, right? So kind of celebrate the wins, I think, is a good place to start.
Yeah, this is always a good time of year to, I think, take a little bit of time to reflect. And I mean, obviously it's a busy time of year for our guys with their flying and everything, but you know, we'll talk next week, I think, about, hey, let's, you know, get a good plan for 2026 and to-do list things on some things we need to work on potentially and unpack that. So, cause every year, I mean, there's always a group of folks like, hey, this is the year I got to get my stuff together. And that might be either, hey, I'm in a position where we're making good money and I need to make sure we got a good plan to build for retirement. To, it might be like, hey, I'm getting ready to retire in the next couple of years or this year, and we need to get things organized, and anybody in between. So, but I always like to start, you know, at least in our household, every year we have like a standard one pager that I'll print out, and everyone from myself to the girls, my 8-year-old does it, and they'll kind of fill out, you know, hey, here's some of the successes from 2025. They'll fill out a section that are like their losses to mourn. You know, that could be a relationship. It could be a stuffed animal that was lost when we moved homes. I mean, it's right. The things that make that list are unique every year.
Sure. Yeah. But you can do the same list from as a professional, right? Like, what did you make? What did you save? You know, what were some career milestones? I get where you're going. Yeah.
Well, you know, one of my buddies, shout out to Snapper. I'll have to send this episode to him, make sure he sees it, but shout out to Snapper. He hosts a event with his other Delta guys, and they will do a roll up of like the income they were able to make, the green slips or overtime trips they took, how profitable they were per day worked, you know, and just like, it's like a game, you know, hey, did we pull all the levers the right way to minimize our effort and maximize our profit? So it's kind of funny. So I think that's kind of good on the work side. Take a little time to reflect on your career. How's it going? Are you enjoying what you're flying, the routes, the aircraft? You know, if you're not at your ideal company yet, you got a good action plan to keep working towards getting to that ideal company, and then take some time to write out those things that you want to work on. Hey, do I want to upgrade to captain in the next year? Like, do I have a good plan to get all those things moving?
Yeah. What did think about some of the other little things too, right? Did you get some raises this year? Did lifestyle creep eat into that? We did a show a couple of months back or a couple of weeks back about, hey, be careful, right? That when you get that, when more money comes in, are we just spending it, or are we kind of, putting some away? Are we being, just kind of allowing that lifestyle creep to take over, which is easy to do the more you make.
Dude, lifestyle creep is real, right?
Yeah.
And
around the holidays too, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's been challenged in the last couple of years because of inflation. It's been so crazy too. I mean, I know we were talking about this before the show started on. From 2020 to now, the cost of living's up 25%.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were discussing it too. It's like, it's crazy to think that in this economy, it's taken a couple hundred years for something to cost X, and then in 5 years it went X times 1.25. Like it's just gotten that expensive that fast.
I just had one credit card last month that was like really down low. I was like, it's been sitting down low for a while. I looked at it today before we jumped on. I'm like, when the hell did that happen? It's like, it just creeps up on you. So
it does. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think, lifestyle creep is a very, very real thing. And then the inflation has kind of compounded that. And so, those are two things where I could tell you too, just even me reflecting this year, there's been a lot of discussions this year with, folks that are getting ready to retire in the next couple of years. And one of the biggest concerns they see is they've seen their compensation as a pilot really, go up the last 5 years, which has been great. And so then their lifestyles come up with it. And then what hasn't come up with it necessarily, their savings rate. Now the market's done really well in that time frame too, which has helped. But you just start to look at, man, we're living off $500,000 plus a year. How are we going to sustain that in retirement?
That's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point. So I was thinking about forget massive goals, right? Pick a financial adjustment for next year. And again, we're going to go into more detail in the new year, but do you want to auto increase your 401k, or are you fine with, where your debt situation is, like we just talked about? But here's an interesting one I was thinking about too, Scott. Do you have that buffer, right, for furloughs, sick leaves, or government shutdowns of 60 days or 40, whatever days it was, right? Yeah. So, think about goals for the future too.
It's interesting when with most of our guys, if you take a minute to just look back on the last 10 years, for many of them, they're like, man, I can't believe I'm here, making what I'm making and saving what I'm saving. And
sure.
And so I think, there's an element of gratitude there. I know we talked about that around Thanksgiving. That's like, it's good to have that attitude of gratitude as a foundation, but then also, how do I look forward and make sure that I'm being a good steward of what I have in front of me?
Yeah.
And know that I'm using my skills, my knowledge, my abilities, to go make as much as I can, work as much as I want to, and use that to, really move the needle financially versus, hey, let me just kind of stay and coast because, hey, I'm making more than I ever used to make and saving more than I ever used to make. So it'll be fine.
Hey, everyone, real quick, if you haven't grabbed Scott's Financial Flight Control Toolkit yet, now is the time. This is packed with tons of helpful resources and tools like this, Scott's book, The Dichotomy of Wealth, which is a pilot's guide to maximizing wealth and cash flow in retirement. You also get access to some great guides like this one, Advice Matters, which breaks down 4 key ways a good financial advisor can help you boost your returns over time. And guides like this one on the pitfalls of emotions when it comes to investing, and this one on the HCM byline investment strategy, and more. So if you'd like your very own Financial Flight Control Toolkit, just click the link in today's show description, and Scott and the team will be happy to get one sent your way at absolutely no cost to you.
Now, that said, I think kind of that last part of the reflection piece, though, I think is kind of looking back and saying also, looking at the dollars and trying to understand, looking forward, what levers can I pull to maybe decrease the amount of time I'm working and increase the amount of money I'm making? Or how do I make more for the same amount of effort? And so, I know there's a lot of different ways, and the guys are really good at understanding those. But again, it's helpful to kind of look back, and the compensation that you have is data for you. So look back, understand it, and see what can I do in the future to impact that in a more positive way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point because, I mean, look, the career income curve is strong, right? But it's not guaranteed. There's contract changes, health changes, airline changes, furloughs, all the kind of stuff we talked about. So you got to have that strategy in place, Scott, to deal with whatever's coming. I like this. I like this quote because we often think about money equals freedom, right? But maybe money equals options, and options equal freedom.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the old Jocko Willink quote. I mean, his whole thing is
an intense guy. Isn't he?
He's super intense. But I like how he says discipline equals freedom.
Okay,
and,
all right.
And I love that Jocko brings that in because I think that's that financial discipline. Like when we talk about lifestyle creep, it's lack of financial discipline.
Very true.
And when we talk about not hitting a savings rate, not diversifying our savings, not rebalancing a portfolio, there's a whole lot there, but it's lack of financial discipline. And so I think that, that can be a good thing to look back on too and say, hey, are there some disciplines lacking in our life? I mean, that's a thing every time this time of year, we're constantly looking at, hey, we need to shore up probably our eating habits, our drinking habits, our workout habits. And,
right.
With the kids, monitoring screen time or whatever. There's a lot of disciplines in life we can always get better at. But the more disciplined we are, the more freedom we do have, right? I mean, if I'm, taking care of my body, then, I'm more physically able to go do things. That's a version of freedom. And so, obviously we're not trying to encourage people to deny thyself any pleasures of life, but
hey, you worked hard. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you want to enjoy it, but look back and still say, hey, are there some disciplines we can tweak a little bit? It's very common to say, hey man, I got to lose 5 pounds this year, or I need to drink a little less, or I need to, be a little bit more disciplined with my diet when I'm
You
traveling.
could do the same thing, 1% to your 401 or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right. So yeah.
Hey, is there something we need to cut back on spending by 5% a year? 5%'s a lot. If you can cut back on 5%, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. And when you were making $30,000 a year right out of college or something, maybe not. You're like, dude, I don't need to make any cuts because there ain't nothing to cut. But when you got some excess, it's very easy for it to win through the fingers and lose track of it. So, it's not a bad discipline to work into your annual routine of like take a knee. I mean, you've heard me say this many times, right? So like the very last, if you've gone through any military training, the very last step of any mission is consolidate and reorganize. So we always like to view the calendar at the end of the calendar year. It's a time for consolidate and reorganize. And it's just that time to take a knee, get a good situational awareness of what you got going on, get a quick plan together, and then boom, step back out and move into your next step. So I think that's a really good spot where you can, again, take some of that time, write some of these things out. I mean, you can put it on a dang sticky note. Hey, here's some things I want to get done this year in my financial house. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what those things should be in the next episode. But I just want to encourage people to take some time to, yes, not only enjoy all the festivities and the family time and all that, but, just take a little bit of time to look in the rearview mirror and celebrate what you have accomplished. And also, search a little bit to see, are there some financial disciplines that we want to bring into focus in the new year? And then again, next week, we'll unpack a little bit more some of those things that we think to focus on and really getting that to-do list mapped out and getting a good action plan to take care of business.
Yeah. So not next week, but the week after, because next week we're going to take the week off because it's New Year. So we're going to party like it's 1999, right?
I forgot you gave me next week off. Thanks, Mark.
I did give you next week off. Yeah, exactly. If we don't party like it's 1999, can we just have prices like it's 1999? I'd be okay with that.
Man, 50% pay raise instantly. Heck yeah.
I would take that. All right. Yeah. So good deal. All right, my friend. Well, thanks for hanging out. Of course, it's the end of the year, but don't let that stop you. If you do need some help, reach out to Scott, get some time on the calendar in the new year, right? Because we're all going to be busy for the next week or so, but reach out to him at retireairlines.com and get yourself some time to chat with him. And we will break down some things probably the first month in January. We'll probably do several episodes on some things to think about and some strategies maybe to start putting in place as the new year gets rocking and rolling. So with that, we'll see you next time. Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and of course here on YouTube. This is the Wealthy Pilots Podcast. Click on the show links below if you got some questions or you want to get some time on Scott's calendar. And Scott, my friend, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and the family.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you too, Mark, all the listeners. Been a great year. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year here on the Wealthy Pilots Podcast with Scott Osborn.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.